Hi there, my name's Frank Buchholz.
And I'm Sean McLaren.
And we're here today to talk about why Surface Pro X is the ultimate device for hybrid work, but also why Microsoft and our partner QualComm are so focused on ARM as a solution for productivity and frontline workers.
So whether your end users are using Pro X for productivity and answering emails, searching the web, or using it as a compliant way to connect to a cloud-based PC, Surface Pro X is designed to meet the challenges of a hybrid workforce.
That's right. We're going to take a look at how Microsoft 365 and the Surface Pro X deliver the security and power hybrid workers need to get work done. And I'll be focusing on productivity and a hardware review, while Sean will be covering the IT Pro topics related to security and device management.
That's right, Frank. Should we just start with an overview of the Surface Pro X?
I'd love to, Sean. Let's take a hardware overview of this beautiful Surface Pro X. The Surface Pro X is an evolution to our 2-in-1 line. In fact, it goes all the way back to Surface RT when we produced our first ARM-based 2-in-1 device with a kickstand and innovative removable type cover. In this day and age, we now have this beautiful device that drives into many different modalities. The thing I love about this device is not only can I use it in more of this laptop mode, but I can actually use it more in a studio mode to be able to bring the device down and be able to actually even take out this pen. The other piece would be is I can now flip the device over and even move it into a tablet mode so I can use it as a tablet as well with pen. So the functionality and the different modalities of use really come to life. And that's the true part about productivity. Office is built for pen and touch, as well as Windows, and a device like this brings all of those experiences to life. But what I really love about this device is also the capability of how it's actually used. So I'm going to take this signature type cover off and actually take a little bit of a tour around the back side of the device. Because when I open up the kickstand on the device, one of the things that you'll notice here is actually a small little trap door where we can actually store the SSD. So it has a removable SSD, but we also have the ability to put in a LTE card or a SIM card, a physical SIM card. Now, the other thing that's very cool about the Pro X, because it uses system on chip where LTE is actually built into the processor itself, we can actually embed eSIM or technologies as well. So maybe I don't want to have a physical SIM. Maybe I'm a pilot that travels from destination to destination, and no matter where I am, I can now pick the eSIM that I need in order to get my work done. So besides all these different modalities and being able to use this device how I want to and where I want to, I also have this amazing type cover, or now what we call our signature keyboard. Now, the signature keyboard is also an advancement over many years of research and development. In fact, that's where Microsoft started with devices, within the keyboard space. And decades later, now we're advancing to be able to build this amazing signature keyboard. The things that I love about it are the ability to change backlight brightness, as well as change volume and other brightness even on the display. The feeling of it is just amazing under my fingers, and the strength that it actually has in order to be able to stand up to different types of things that I want to use it for are just awesome. The other thing is this new slim pen and the ability to use a slim pen so that it actually slips into the actual signature keyboard. And then being able to actually attach it very seamlessly into my Pro X device so that I can go back and use the device again how I want to be able to use it. Now, what I love about that is that I don't want to be able to lose the pen. So the pen actually magnetically sticks into the actual signature keyboard, but it also charges when it's there as well. So all of these different pieces is how I can now start to use this device. But the clear investment for the future in this case for this device is ARM. ARM is just like your phone. I think essentially all that power that comes in your phone is because everything is system on chip, meaning that the LTE, the Wi-Fi, the processor, the graphics capability, it's all built into the processor itself. And that's something that we've been driving for. Essentially, again, this isn't our first ARM device, and Windows on ARM is not something that we take lightly. It is a big investment that we see for the future of computation, especially when it comes to personal productivity devices like this Pro X. We've been at this since Surface RT, which is now over 10 years ago when we introduced ARM into our Surface line. And this is now the evolution of where we've come to. And so for us, it's just this big destination to be able to continue to push ARM as an investment, because what ARM brings you is it essentially brings you amazing battery life on the device, because essentially if you're able to put everything on the chip, that means you're just powering the chip in order to provide all the types of capabilities and that productivity that you need. You don't have to have separate discrete processors or separate discrete chips across the device in order to power that. So now let's take a look and dive into Windows 11 on Surface Pro X, because Windows 11 truly brings to life not only ARM on Windows, but also the pen and touch modalities that we really think of when we think of Pro X. I'm excited to be able to give you a tour of how this device runs personal productivity as well as professional productivity apps. Let's start with the one I use the most, which is PowerPoint. I'm in marketing, so let's dive into that. So this is a live demonstration of the speed of this device. So I'm opening up PowerPoint. PowerPoint in this case is a 64-bit application, but it is tuned for ARM. In this case, I have my pitch deck that I can actually open up, which is a number of different pages long. And I'm able to come in here and open this deck in this speed. I can come in here and make those changes or just drive straight into a presentation that I want to be able to flow through. So now I'm in the presentation. I can easily flow through my presentation and jump through the different slides and all the different pieces that this deck has to offer. I can also show the other pieces around productivity that I would consider important, such as being able to jump into the Edge browser. The Edge browser in this case is an ARM64 application, and the ARM64 application means it's built for the ARM processor. This means that I have all the fluid and feature functionalities, the speed and pieces. So if you're running native applications, if you're running web-based applications, you're going to find them that run as fast as any other web browser that you've ever seen. In fact, the ARM capabilities bring to life a lot of capabilities so that I have different pieces to be able to jump around and be able to get that productivity done. Whether I'm streaming video off of here or being able to go to websites that I want in order to read PDFs or other pieces, I know that I have the capability to do that. The other piece, though, is that sometimes I have other ARM applications that other OEMs or other vendors have written on and been able to turn into ARM. One of them is Photoshop. Photoshop is an amazingly powerful application. I honestly wish I knew how to use it better than I do, because I think you can honestly make a living out of this application. And that's exactly what it is. It's a line of business application. But here I have the ability where it is written for ARM and runs amazing on this device, this Pro X. So being able to manipulate objects in real time and being able to annotate on them and draw on them and manipulate layers of graphics that take place, just an amazing capability to be able to show that. In fact, you can even start to see the Alcantara fabric at a much different layer when you're actually looking at something like this amazing render that takes place in Photoshop. Moving along, it would also be important to point out that productivity comes within telecommunications. This version of Teams and my ability to walk out and make a call or jump into a calendar, this actually is an ARM64 version of Teams. So I can use this to do video teleconferencing and audio teleconferencing with my coworkers. The thing that's amazing about it also is that the camera has an eye gaze capability that's built in from an AI perspective on this version of Teams that is specific for Pro X. So it will actually watch my eye gaze and being able to crop and follow me as I move around the space that I'm actually in. Some people have actually made the claim even in the press that this is actually the best version of Teams that's available is the ARM64 version because of how well it renders graphics and video that's on the screen. The other piece, though, is, as we point out, sometimes I want to be able to run a native 64-bit application. So in this case, this is an application that I downloaded from the store called Drawboardpdf. And what I like about this is it brings to life the capability of me being able to use my pen. So I'm going to pull my pen out here and being able to come in to do things like whether I'm using a pen to isolate and point out something on here, or I'm using the pen in this case to change my color, and maybe I want to be able to highlight a piece of the graphics on here. There's no delay, there's no responsiveness that would matter, because even though this device is running in 64-bit emulation, or this application is, I don't notice it. It's not something I have to register, it just runs on the device. So I download this off the internet and I'm able to run it exactly as it is. The last piece I would talk about is sometimes we want to be able to actually take these devices that are issued to us corporately, but actually run a game on them. We see these as devices that we run personally as well. So in this case, I'm going to load Minecraft onto this device and be able to run that as well. So I'm going to just come in here and resume this game and be able to move around this world that I've created. I am not a Minecraft person. It looks like there's some animal beast cow thing coming towards me, but I'm able to interact with it in all the name's normal speeds. This Minecraft application, full disclosure, is an ARM64 application, but because of that, I'm able to run it in capability here. Now, the last thing that I want to show is actually a little bit of a disclaimer that we've actually been filming this entire session on this device with Camtasia from TechSmith. What I love about this is a 64-bit application that we downloaded off the internet, and it's recording all of our screen capture that we've been doing in this session so we can dive deep when we choose to into the screen. But all I did was just download it straight off the internet, install it into my device, type in the license that we have, and now it's working beautifully on this device. And this whole time it was recording, it was not degrading the performance of the device. So again, no matter what you're doing, whether it's PowerPoint, applications like Photoshop, you're gaming with Minecraft, or you're doing something that is recording the screen like Camtasia, all these capabilities are very optimally performant on the Surface Pro X. Awesome device.
Hybrid work devices are both corporate and personal. In this day and age, people are taking corporate devices and treating them just like their personal devices. Or they're taking their personal devices and enrolling them compliantly into their corporation. Hybrid work devices are both corporate and personal. That's why the Pro X is so great. It handles all your heavy-duty work apps, as well as music and gaming and other fun things like, hey, I showed you how to use Minecraft on the device. In the past, some of the blockers of ARM adoption have been around security software and print drivers because they need to operate at the core level of the operating system. We've worked hard to overcome the IT obstacles. So Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how IT administration of Pro X works?
Sure, Frank. So looking at this from an IT pro perspective, we need to look at how we provide the best user experience while also optimizing our configurations for security, zero-touch deployment, and ease of management. There's always a balancing act between security and ease of use. The Surface Pro X is a great device for that, giving me as an IT pro the device capabilities needed for security, including configuring things like passwordless sign-on with Windows Hello, and balancing that with those rich productivity capabilities like support for ink and pen with touch, and all in a lightweight form factor with great battery life that helps to strike that balance. So Frank, as you mentioned, the 64-bit emulation with Windows on ARM is great for giving you the apps that you love, but it's also great from an IT pro perspective because I can simply deploy to your device just like I would with any other. So here you can see, for example, I have an app deployment configuration for Photoshop. I can set up the installation properties, the controls that I need, and I can assign this app to yourself and other users directly using Microsoft Intune. Using this same deployment method, I can add any of our line of business applications, even store apps, such as the Microsoft Whiteboard. In addition to deploying applications, as an IT admin, I also need to ensure that Frank has the rest of the tools needed to do his job and the security protections I need covering the device, his identity, and our corporate data. I can use Endpoint Manager to add security baselines, a simple cloud configuration, and I can configure software update policies to keep his device up to date, including the firmware and drivers, all delivered from Windows Update for Business. Now, choosing the Surface Pro X with Windows 11 also provides tighter integration with things like Universal Print, which is a Microsoft 365 cloud-based printing solution, allowing Frank to easily discover printers and print, whether he's working from home or he's in one of our offices. This really simplifies the deployment of the things that I need to ensure that all employees are productive. Through our App Assure program and the Microsoft Promise of Compatibility, we've even worked to ensure that our top VPN providers also work seamlessly with Windows on ARM-based devices like the Surface Pro X. So the best part for me as an IT admin is that I can configure all of this for zero-touch deployment with Windows Autopilot, and the result is a device that's completely managed through Microsoft Endpoint Manager.
Yeah, Sean, I love this. One of the greatest things about Surface is the fact that Microsoft Endpoint Manager, it gives us the ability to manage all the way down to the firmware level of the device. The other amazing thing is that Pro X is a secure cord PC.
The reason that it's a secured core PC is because there's microcode on the SQ1 and SQ2 processors that ensures a root of trust when the device is booted. This means that we can rest assured that we're booting an authentic version of Windows. Not only does the processor provide the highest level of security, but it also provides the greatest level of productivity. Let's get to the core of what makes ProX great. It's the processor. Let's kick it over to QualComm to talk about how we partnered together to make this powerhouse processor.
Thanks, Frank. At Qualcomm Technologies, we were thrilled to collaborate with Microsoft to develop the SQ1 and SQ2 processors based on our Snapdragon Compute platform technologies. It combines the best of the smartphone with the performance and efficiency of a PC for an always-on, always-connected experience. As a SoC, it has a powerful CPU, GPU, AI engine, and connectivity that is engineered for sustained performance and incredible battery life, so you can be more productive with your laptop than ever before. It also stays cool and has a very thin and sleek form factor, removing the need for noisy fans, making it even more portable, sustainable, and durable. As Frank mentioned, the way we work is changing, and hybrid is the new enterprise model. The workforce is more distributed than ever, and giving the flexibility and freedom for them to connect, collaborate, and create from virtually anywhere will be critical to reaching business goals. We are seeing now that the PC is the bridge that connects the enterprise to the employee. With the Surface Pro X, the workforce can easily access all their cloud tools and resources to be productive, and IT will be able to seamlessly deploy devices with Autopilot for zero-touch provisioning. They will also be able to manage and protect all their laptops in real time with a persistent connection to the enterprise network. We've heard from our customers that being able to patch and update the corporate fleet almost instantaneously is a real game changer. And not only that, with the introduction of Windows 11, the experience only gets better. Windows 11 ushers in x64 emulation, which expands the application ecosystem, removing barriers for productivity. We are so proud to have collaborated with Microsoft on building the ultimate hybrid work PC with an amazing end user experience that does not compromise enterprise security standards.
The partnership between Qualcomm and Microsoft on these processors is so exciting, and it exemplifies Surface's commitment to innovation. Whether we're driving 2-in-1 tablets that are as powerful as a desktop or driving the advancement of ARM throughout the personal computing space, Surface and our partners are at the cutting edge.
That's right, Frank. And one of these key differentiators of Surface is that we use our own UEFI, which is a pre-boot operating system that controls the firmware on our devices. This allows us to ensure a secured boot of the device, but also allows us to have complete control through Microsoft 365 tools like Microsoft Endpoint Manager, where we can manage and update our device all the way down to that firmware level. This means that remotely, as an IT admin, I could turn off the camera or disable the ability to boot from USB, ensuring a strong level of security no matter where that device is located. And again, all of this begins with a zero-touch Autopilot deployment. Now, one of the other ways that we can empower our users in the new hybrid work environment is by providing them a cloud PC using Windows 365. This allows me as an IT admin to easily provision Frank a Windows 365 PC that gives him a full PC in the cloud, while he can leverage all-day battery life and the local device capabilities of his Surface Pro X. So he can use things like his pen and touch even against this cloud PC. Now let's take a look at how I would configure and deploy a cloud PC for Frank. So here I'm logged into my Microsoft Endpoint Manager tenant, but I want to give a little more context around this scenario that Frank and I have been discussing. So remember, he's using his Surface Pro X as his local corporate PC for accessing his work and some personal items, which is actually pretty common in our new hybrid work world. So that Surface Pro X gives him local access to things like M365 apps and Teams, our line of business applications, and even apps like Photoshop. He's also able to use his local hardware for things like Windows Hello for Business, so he gets passwordless sign-on, and take advantage of all the device capabilities like pen and touch. He even gets to take advantage of the all-day battery life on that great ARM device. Now, the Surface Pro X is delivered through Windows Autopilot, just like all of our other devices. I'm not going to dive deeply into Autopilot configurations here, but that device was registered at the time of purchase, creating that secure chain for us that allows me to do things like firmware management with DFCI. That device also has a deployment profile assigned to it for Autopilot, configuring that provisioning experience. In addition to all of the compliance, configurations, and security policies for that device, and even update policies for that device, so that I know it's always current and up to date and compliant. Now, just like physical devices, I can also manage cloud PCs directly from Endpoint Manager. Now, every cloud PC starts with a provisioning policy. And this provisioning policy actually specifies the image that we're going to use for our cloud PC. So let's walk through creating a demo provisioning policy real quick. So here I'll select an on-premises network connection that I've created earlier. We'll give it a name, and I'll go ahead and select Next. And this takes me to image selection. So for this, we'll go ahead and select a gallery image, and then out of the gallery, I will select Windows 11 Enterprise with M365 apps as our image. So we'll select our image, and now I get to do the assignments for this policy. So I'm actually going to assign this policy to a group that I've created, which has actually been used for a license assignment for my cloud PCs, as well as things like assigning applications and policies like this. So we'll go ahead and select our group. We'll add that to the policy, and then we'll go ahead and create our policy. Now that we have a cloud PC policy created, this cloud PC will be automatically provisioned to everyone who was a part of that group. So looking at my cloud PCs, I get a list of devices, just like I would if they were physical devices. And in this case, we can see Frank's cloud PC is here at the top of the list. So this is a Windows 11 Enterprise PC assigned to Frank. When I bring that PC open and I look at the properties, I can actually see that Frank is the primary user of this PC, and it's a corporate-owned Windows PC. I can see the applications that were assigned to it, device configurations, and the hardware. I can even resize this PC if Frank turns out to need a little bit more horsepower later on. So very simple and easy to assign a cloud PC to Frank. Now, how does Frank actually access that? He has two choices for accessing his new cloud PC. One would be via the web browser, and the other would be the remote desktop client. To access via a web browser, you can simply log in to windows365.microsoft.com. Here I'm actually signed in as myself, and I can see cloud PCs that are assigned to me, just like Frank would be able to see his PCs. By clicking Open in Browser, I'm actually prompted to leverage my local hardware capabilities with my cloud PC, again, giving me the best of both worlds. So I'll go ahead and say Allow here. I'll finish my sign-in. And I'm now logging in to a fully compliant Windows 11 PC running in the cloud. I can access Teams, Microsoft 365 apps, and all of my other work materials from this PC, all directly through the web browser. Now, to enhance Frank's experience a little bit, what we've done is actually provision him the remote desktop client. And I've done that through Microsoft Endpoint Manager as well. So I created an installation package for the remote desktop client. And here you can see I've actually assigned this application to that same group that I used for the Windows 11 provisioning policies. And so Frank now has access to the remote desktop client on his Surface Pro X, as well as his cloud PC. He can take advantage of everything in the cloud and everything that he has locally. Now, if I wanted to configure this to be a little tighter, as his IT admin, I could have chosen to also configure his device as a kiosk device, using a simple, secure cloud configuration and locking that experience down just a little bit. But in this particular case, I've actually given him the best of both worlds. He can fully utilize all the capabilities of his local device and all the capabilities of his cloud PC.
That's so cool, Sean. Let's show everyone what that looks like on my end now that you've configured a cloud PC for me. Thanks, Sean, for configuring my cloud PC. In this day in hybrid work, it's important for us to have connection into essentially our back-end corporate networks. And sometimes we're not always able to get to that, say, through VPN. Sometimes organizations want us to connect to the cloud to be able to get to that content that belongs to that organization. So here I'm going to go ahead and open up either remote desktop, or I could actually get to this through an Edge browser as well. But in this case, I open up remote desktop on my device, and it'll load the remote desktop application. And then now I can come in and connect to the cloud PC that Sean created for me. And you'll see that it's starting to load. And so now I'm connected to my cloud PC, and the power of the cloud PC is that I have the option of being able to use my cloud PC in essentially my regulated area that I'm able to connect into the back end of my corporate environment, or continue to use my Windows 11 desktop however I choose. So here I can come in and actually use this in many different ways. One of the things that I always like to point out to people is that if I open something like the Microsoft Edge browser and go out to something like fast.com, which tells me my internet speed, it shows that I'm actually connected from an Azure server in the cloud that is literally sitting on the backbone of the internet. So you're easily able to get gigabit speeds for having connection like that. So turning your home speed, of speed up to your device, but this device now connected into the cloud and being able to have that type of speed is pretty amazing. The other thing to show is that if I wanted to bring up something like a Microsoft Whiteboard, the thing I love about the Whiteboard in this particular case is that, again, I'm able to use my pen and touch capabilities, and maybe I want to bring up this amazing rainbow pen, but being able to show how I'm able to interact with this. And again, what I'm inking on is going all the way up to the cloud before it's coming back and actually displaying onto my device. So there's certainly a tiny bit of latency in there, but that doesn't mean I can't still get the work done that I need to get done in order to, bring up different types of pieces, like being able to draw a line on my ruler. So being able to have that full pen and touch capability, even though I'm connecting to a cloud PC, it just shows you all those modalities that you're used to on Surface are available to you, whether you're connecting to a cloud PC or whether you're doing this type of work natively on the local operating system. So cloud PC interaction and hybrid work, part of the new normal.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you learned about the perfect partnership between Microsoft 365 and Surface.
And if you want to learn more about the portfolio of hybrid work devices, go on out to surface.com/business. I'd like to thank Sean, as well as our partners from QualComm, for joining us today, and a big thank you.